On June 30th, 2024, a quiet, solemn press conference took place in Bogor, Indonesia. A group of aging men, many with white beards and traditional skullcaps, sat before a row of microphones. These men were the senior leadership of Jemaah Islamiyah, Southeast Asia's deadliest and most prolific terror network. They announced that they were voluntarily and completely disbanding their organization. They pledged their loyalty to the Indonesian state and promised to return to their boarding schools to teach peaceful Islamic doctrine. Dismantling this network did not end with a final military raid or a massive courtroom conviction. Instead, the very people who built this world eventually decided it no longer served their vision. To understand that decision, we have to look at how the movement began. In the 1980s, extremist clerics retreated to rural religious boarding schools, using localized study circles to quietly radicalize vulnerable youth away from government oversight. Ideological architects, like the cleric Abu Bakar Bashir, kept the dream of an underground militant state alive through these teachings. The movement reached a turning point when clerics sent over 100 local recruits to the Afghan-Soviet War. Recruits like Hambali trained in border camps alongside al-Qaeda figures, transforming from local students into global operators. When the authoritarian Suharto regime fell in 1998, the borders opened. These veterans returned home, utilizing their international training to form a highly structured terror syndicate known as Jemaah Islamiyah. Their capabilities reached a peak with the 2002 Bali bombings. It was a coordinated attack that killed 202 people and left hundreds more severely injured. The execution of the Bali attack showed a level of training and discipline that convinced the Indonesian government they faced a professional clandestine army. In the immediate aftermath, authorities sifting through the charred remains of the Bali blasts worried the perpetrators were too sophisticated to leave usable evidence behind. This wireframe schematic highlights what the bombers missed: a tiny alphanumeric serial number stamped directly onto the metal chassis. They scrubbed the obvious engine numbers, but overlooked this secondary stamp from a routine inspection. That number provided a direct, undeniable paper trail. A global terror syndicate was undone not by a military error, but by a mundane, overlooked bureaucratic detail. That chassis number led police straight to the bomb maker, Amrazi. Within 48 hours, he confessed, facing the media smiling, showing no regret for his victims. However, his brother, Ali Imran, exhibited an ideological shift. Expressing deep remorse, Imran actively cooperated with investigators, even demonstrating exactly how the explosives were wired. Armed with this intelligence, the Indonesian government formed Detachment 88, a specialized counter-terrorism task force designed to dismantle the network. Over the next decade, Detachment 88 systematically hunted the Jemaah Islamiyah hierarchy, raiding training camps, cutting off funding lines, and arresting the veteran leadership. While the physical hierarchy of Jemaah Islamiyah was gone, the underlying ideology remained, waiting for a new way to reach people. By 2015, the surviving extremism in the region merged with ISIS propaganda, forming a new entity, Jemaah Ansharut Daulah, or JAD. Notice how the rigid hierarchy of the old network breaks apart here, collapsing into isolated, disconnected dots. JAD lacked formal training camps or initiation protocols, with individuals radicalizing entirely through their smartphones. This decentralized period reached a peak with the 2018 bombings of 3 churches in Surabaya. The perpetrators of these synchronized attacks were a single family: a mother, a father, and their children, including 9- and 12-year-old daughters, all radicalized together at their own dinner table. The terror threat had transformed. Law enforcement could no longer rely on tracking a professional army. Instead, they faced radicalization occurring entirely within private family units. Inside the prison system, the original architects of the movement watched this happen. Even JAD's own ideological leader, Aman Abdurrahman, publicly condemned the Surabaya family bombings. These founders realized that their teachings had evolved into a structureless, uncontrollable force that they could no longer direct or restrain. This realization is what led to the 2024 press conference. Faced with a movement they no longer recognized, the original founders finally chose to disband Jemaah Islamiyah. Law enforcement can dismantle the physical logistics of a network, But the end of this extremist ideology required its own creators to look at what they had built and voluntarily choose peace.